Over the past 10 years, I've spent thousands of hours working from home and tested hundreds of productivity hacks. Most were a total waste of time, but 11 of them actually worked. So I combined them into an easy-to-follow 3-step system that you can copy to completely eliminate procrastination and reach peak productivity. Let's begin with step 1, which contains the first 2 tips, focusing on optimizing your space. The first thing to do is to reduce clutter, which immediately minimizes distractions and helps you focus. I've found that keeping only daily essentials on my desk and putting things back immediately after use minimizes potential distractions and keeps my desk always clean. So I never have to waste time cleaning. Pro tip, I try to mount as many things as possible under the desk, like hidden drawers for commonly small used items, USB hubs, or SD card readers, so they are easily accessible without occupying any desk space. The second thing to do is to pay attention to ergonomics, because if you're uncomfortable, it's almost impossible to stay focused, making procrastination much more likely. I always make sure my chair is properly adjusted and have the monitors at the right height so I can effortlessly maintain a proper posture while sitting down. These first 2 tips might seem basic, but they are essential for making everything in steps 2 and 3 work seamlessly together. And here's step 2, focusing on 7 genuinely useful pieces of tech I use to be significantly more productive. The first thing, and probably the most effective one, is ANC headphones. This is a game changer, because where I live there's always background noise like traffic and loud family members. Talk about timing. Which makes it incredibly hard to focus. So a nice pair of ANC headphones or earbuds fixes this almost completely. Almost. When ANC doesn't block everything out, I use an app called Brain.fm that completely drowns out all the noise and helps me focus. I've been using it for years and it's been surprisingly effective. But even with all the noise blocked out, staying focused can still be hard. That's why the second thing I use is a physical timer. This actively forces me to keep track of time and works seamlessly with the third thing, a to-do list that always includes specific timeframes for each task. This combination has been surprisingly effective. For example, instead of writing vague tasks like edit epic intro, which I used to do, now I break it down to something like edit intro transition keyframes 30 minutes. This works incredibly well as it gives tasks a clear time limit and prevents me from dragging on tasks that shouldn't take an entire day. The fourth thing is completely free and could save you hundreds of hours in the long run, but most people never even bother using them. I'm talking about keyboard shortcuts. Regardless of what you do on your PC, I'm sure there's a shortcut that will save you time and even very useful ones that you didn't know existed. Some very useful examples that I use every single day include Ctrl-Shift-T to reopen the last closed tab when I accidentally close one, Windows-Shift-S to take a screenshot, or Ctrl-F to instantly find specific keywords or information in a website or PDF. I try to use them as much as possible to build muscle memory and not need to think about them anymore. Another tool I use to stay focused is the 5th tech tip in the list. It's something I wish I had known way sooner because it's very useful. Taking voice notes with a smart speaker. These things depreciate massively in the used market, and that's how I got this brand new open box Google Nest Hub 2 for half the original price. Aside from doing your typical smart speaker stuff, I use it daily to write down ideas and set reminders before I forget about them. Offloading my thoughts into Google Tasks helps clear my mental clutter so I can stay focused and not forget anything.
Okay, use this clip.
By the way, one of the reasons why I love tech is because you can almost always find something to solve a problem and make your life easier. And the 6th product in this segment is a good example. As someone who tries to maximize quality, I used to overcomplicate taking meetings by setting up a full-frame mirrorless camera and a huge external microphone. It looked and sounded great but was very unreliable and inconvenient to set up. So I started looking for a better solution and found the Insta360 Link 2, which solved all of the problems I had. It's extremely easy to set up and looks better than any other webcam I've previously tried because it's simply built different. It has a large camera sensor that delivers an actually good 4K image, and the automatic tracking and framing features make it very easy to get a good angle regardless of where I place it, which was not the case before. Also, the built-in microphone is very solid, so it fulfills two tasks at once. Okay, time for step 3. How I made procrastinating literally impossible and became the most productive I've ever been. But before that, here's the last thing in step 2 that helps me stay productive: the Delta Hub Carpio wrist rest. I used to be frequently bothered by wrist pain from pressing my hands on the desk while using my PC. But 5 years ago, I started using the Carpio and it helped a lot to reduce wrist strain, so I've been using it ever since. This relates to what I mentioned in step 1 regarding ergonomics. And wrist strain is a common issue many people experience. This is why I'm happy to mention that this video is sponsored by Delta Hub. They watched my last video and asked to sponsor this one, which is perfect because I was gonna talk about them anyway, so nice. I'm currently using both the right and left hand versions along with their desk mat, and I can 100% recommend it because I've been using them for years. So check out the link in the description and use code SHEN10 right now for 10% off. Now, step 3. After years of testing different hacks that never quite worked long term, here are 2 things I did to kill procrastination for good and force myself to get work done in a good way. Nowadays, all apps and websites are distracting by design. This is exactly why whenever I try to resist to use an app like TikTok, for example, at some point I fall back into a downward spiral of wasting time on social media without even realizing it. And I'm sure I'm not alone. Or at least I hope. How many of you have at some point built the muscle memory to open a certain app without even thinking about it as soon as you grab your phone? Once I realized this and understood that apps are designed to be as easy to use as possible, to get you as hooked as possible for as long as possible, I simply had to do the opposite to fix this problem from the root. This is how I found Cold Turkey, a customizable system-wide website and app blocker that works on a schedule and is physically impossible to turn off once activated. For example, I configured it to block distracting websites and games from 7 AM to 7 PM Monday to Saturday, and once it's on and I lock the settings, there's no way to disable it, uninstall it, or bypass it. I mean, technically you can if you reinstall Windows, but I'm never gonna do that, so this solution is 100% effective for me. On top of this, I also use it to automatically lock Windows on my PC at midnight to force myself to go to sleep early. That was the 10th hack. And the 11th hack follows a similar principle but for my phone. I use an app called OneSec, which is configured to force me to wait a full minute every single time before letting me use apps like TikTok. During this time, the front camera automatically turns on, forcing me to look at my face and snap back to reality. I've used it for over a year and it's been extremely effective. Having said that, I don't completely block everything like on my desktop during daytime because I occasionally need to do some stuff on my phone. But it does block all distracting apps at midnight because there's no reason I should be using my phone after midnight. By adding all this friction and always leaving my phone in another room, I've made it so that I'll only go for it if I really need to use it, like taking a call, and that's pretty much it. And this is how I made procrastination practically impossible for me. Step 1 minimizes distractions, step 2 helps me focus, and step 3 kills any temptations while working and helps me get into work. If I follow all 3, getting work done is pretty easy. If you want more high effort content, consider subscribing and watch this video over here. This? Yes, this one over here. It's good. Nice.